Hello! Today we're going to create these crazy psychedelic trippy effects in After Effects. They don't require any third-party plugins. They're pretty fast to render. They work with any footage. So let's begin. Let's create a new composition, make it Full HD, and call it Trippy Effects. Just after that, add another comp and call it Footage. We'll store the footage we're working with in a separate composition, in case we want to replace it in the future. Drag and drop the footage onto the timeline. Make it fit to the comp size. Add the footage comp to the Trippy Effects timeline, and then add a null object. I'll call it Control. All the effect controls and settings will be here for more convenient adjusting. Let's start with tinting the footage. Add a slider control to the control layer and call it Black and White. Select the footage layer. Add a tint effect. Alt-click on the amount stopwatch. Select the control layer and link the value to the black and white slider. Let's set it to 100 for now. Duplicate the black and white slider control twice. These controls will be for skew and skew velocity. Let's also add an angle control and call it skew offset. We'll add some cool woozy animation to our footage. Select the footage layer and add a transform effect. Alt-click on the skew stopwatch. Link it to the skew control and divide it by 10. I generally want my controls to be within the 100 range, but it'll be too much for the skew values, so we'll make it 10 times smaller. Next, alt-click on the skew axis stopwatch. Link it to the skew offset control. Then type ×3 plus time ×5 times, and then link to the skew velocity control. By using the time expression, we make the skew axis parameter to be animated automatically. And by multiplying it to the skew velocity control, we're able to adjust the animation speed. We also add a skew offset to this because later we'll be adding a couple of more layers, and they will have different axis offset. We obviously don't need the black edges around the footage, so let's add a motion tile effect before the transform. Set it to 140 and turn on the mirror edges checkbox. Set the skew to 30 and the skew velocity to 20. Let's see how it looks. Great! Let's add some more controls. One for lens distortion. One for lens distortion velocity. And one for random seed. Select the footage layer and add a lens distortion effect. Set the size to 150. Next, alt-click on the center stopwatch. Select the control layer. Type seed random. Link it to the random seed slider and add index to the result. Also, add a semicolon after the line. On the second line, add a wiggle expression. Link it to the lens distortion velocity. Divide it by 20 and use 200 as a second variable. Now the lens center randomly changes its position with the wiggle function, and adding a layer's index to the random seed will make the animation different for different layers without changing the expression. Next, link the convergence parameter to the lens distortion control. Let's set the lens distortion to 35 and the velocity to 25. Let's have a look. So far, so good. Let's add some more distortion to the footage. Add two more slider controls to the control layer, one for turbulence and one for turbulence velocity. Select the footage layer and add a turbulent displace effect. Link the amount to the turbulence control. Next, add this expression to the evolution parameter, value plus time times 10 times. And then link to the turbulence velocity control. Thus, the turbulence evolution will be animated automatically, and we'll be able to control it using the turbulence velocity control. What we also want to do is to link the random seed parameter to the random seed control and add the layer index to the result as well. Let's set the turbulence to 10 and the velocity to 25. Let's take a look. It's getting better and better. Let's add chromatic aberrations. Select the footage layer and add a shift channels effect. We want to replace the red and the green channels with the blue channel. After that, add a tint effect and set the white map to a pure blue color. Duplicate the footage layer twice. Let's rename the 3 layers to R, G, and B. Let's also color them correspondingly. Set the RNG blend mode to add. Next, select the green layer. Set the color channels to green and use a pure green color as a white map for the tint effect. Do the same thing for the red layer, but with using a red color. Now, because we used the layer's indexes, each layer animation looks different. That's why we start to see the aberrations. Select the green layer, click E twice to reveal the expressions, and select the skew axis expression. We want to change the 3 to 2 inside the expression so that the skew offset starts working. Next, adjust the expression for the red layer. Just delete the multiplier. Now if we change the skew offset value, we'll start to see even more aberrations because the skew animation is now different for each channel. Let's set it to 60 for now. Looks great! It's time to add more trippy effects. Add another slider to the control layer and call it Edge Blur. Add a new black solid layer and call it Blur Map. Solo it. Select the ellipse tool and click twice on the tool icon to add a circular mask on the layer. Click F to reveal the feather parameter and set to something around 600. Next, add a solid composite effect to add the white color instead of the transparency. Add an adjustment layer. Let's call it Edge Blur. Add a compound blur effect. Set the blur layer to the blur map and use effects and masks instead of source. Link the blur value to the edge blur control. There is some transparency on the edges, so add a motion tile effect before the blur. Set it to 120 and turn on the mirror edges checkbox. Let's set the edge blur to 30. Let's add some light effects. Add another slider control and call it Flicker. Duplicate the adjustment layer and call it Flicker as well. Delete the effects and add an exposure effect. Alt-click on the exposure stopwatch. Add a seed random expression using the random seed control. And then add a wiggle function. Wiggle 6. Then link to the flicker control and divide the result by 70, as the exposure values are generally located within a very small range. Let's set the flicker to 35. Let's see how it looks. Great! Finally, let's add a vignette. Add a vignette control to the control layer. Then duplicate the adjustment layer. Rename it to Vignette and delete the effects. Add a tint effect. Set the white map to black. Alt-click on the amount stopwatch and link it to the vignette control. With the selected vignette layer, double-click on the ellipse tool icon to add a circular mask. Set its mode to subtract and feather it to around 600. We want the vignette to be animated, so set its opacity to 50. And another seed random and wiggle expression. Let's use 2 and 50 for the wiggle. Set the vignette to 45. Let's look at the final result. Looks great! We have some cool aberrations around the image, some pulsating light effects, some blur on the edges. All of this is completely procedural, and you can get thousands of unique results with the random seed control. It's very easy to change footage. Just switch to the footage composition and change it. You have tons of helpful controls on the control layer. You can set the black and white control to 0 to get the footage colors back. Decrease the lens distortion and turbulence, leaving just the cool skew animation. Or set them to crazy high to get a psychedelic look. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching and see you soon.